Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Word of the Week. Good morning, Joe. How are you today, sir?
Hey, good morning, Roy. It's good to be back after missing last week. Thanks for covering down for me last week. You did an amazing job, man. I was wondering, how's this guy going to cover 30 minutes of content and, just by himself? And then, I got on, I checked it out. I was really impressed. You did a great job. Great message, great word, great everything.
Oh, thank you. It's funny, as I was talking last week, I got through the first story and I kind of checked the watch that I had posted up there. And I'm like, wow, that lasted 5 minutes. Oh, boy, this is going to be a long, boring show for everybody.
Yeah, it seems to feel that way sometimes. But, sometimes less is more, too, And I knew you would adapt to that pretty well. We tend to do that, right? We've allotted 30 minutes, but hey, if you can get the message delivered in 5 minutes and it's a good message and it's clear and concise, and then after a while you feel like you're just repeating yourself anyway. And so no, man, you did great.
Well, thank you. Well, and welcome back. I'm glad that you're feeling a bit better than you were last week, and glad to have you back here on Word of the Week with me.
And I am glad to be back. And it was funny because I have been under the weather a little bit, and the one thing that drives me crazy when I'm not feeling well is that I start thinking about all the things that I need to be doing right now other than laying in bed. And so when I came in this morning, I've been in all week, right? And getting things done here and there. But this morning specifically, as I was praying before I started my day, I was praying to God for focus. I was like, I really need to I've kind of cleaned up a lot of the stuff laying around, but there's some big stuff that I got to get done, and I have to get done this week. But that's going to require intense focus, because sometimes you got to sit down and take an hour and do something, right? But then there's all these other little things oh yeah, I forgot, I got to get that done too, that I missed last Thursday when I wasn't, in the office. So for you to text me this morning and tell me today's word of the week is going to be focus, I was like, that's how God works sometimes.
That's the truth. That's the truth. I did happen to release a video on focus earlier this week, which kind of got me rethinking about it again. But I also, we made a lot of videos over the last, 8 months. And that video in particular was probably one of the most, I was probably the most excited about recording that video. And I think it was the one that probably was the hardest to edit together, because it was so just sporadic. There were so many elements of focus that I wanted to cover that I couldn't focus on a single one. And the focus video it turned out good. I had a lot of help from Brad Walton, our good friend, who helped me with the editing and the video recording of most of the videos that I've been posting. But it was kind of ironic that, here's this video on focus and I can't even focus on a single thread to get through this video because there's just so much to it.
Yeah, I've got my mic on mute because they're doing leaf blowing right outside my window here.
Struggles of Florida living, I got oh, that's right, a blizzard outside my window. Yeah, it's snowing.
Snow blowers. It's one or the other. I mean, you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, let's dive into this word. So focus is our word of the week. And I've seen a couple topics pop up on focus. And obviously you were praying about focus this morning. And actually, maybe it was 3 weeks ago, we had a conversation about how can we get more focused on what we're doing, because we're balancing the diversification of our time and our resources to make sure that we have stability. But at the same time, that pulls us away from some of the most important things that we have to do. And so when we talk about focus, I always look at the two sides of focus. One is I'm focusing really close and I'm focusing on that one task that I have to get done. But I also think about the big picture and how sometimes we can lose focus on some of the most important things because we get sucked into a little detail. So what do you think about focus? What do you think about when you're trying to focus?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting perspective, the fact that you have short term or like near focus and distant focus, right? Both are important, but they have their own place, right? And so for me, I mean, I never like to, like, I'm not a victim of anything, and I never like to pull out this card and be like, I have ADD. But somebody told me one time, one of them doctor guys told me one time that I had ADD. So focus has kind of been a challenge for me. Even before they told me that, I kind of like, I've always had like a little bit of a difficult time focusing on one thing or staying disciplined on one thing. I like to start things. It's hard for me to finish things sometimes. So when I learned that and I started studying attention deficit, all I had to do for me, and this is just for me because I don't think I have like a major severe case, but for me, I just had to reverse engineer what that meant and then be mindful of those things and those situations where I'm most likely to be distracted or brought off task or pulled away from whatever my focus is at the time. The test taking is a really good example. If I go in to take a test, I have to like really prepare myself mentally to be, and physically, like I have to have the right amount of sleep. I have to have eaten breakfast. I have to have gone to the restroom before I go in there, because if not, that will distract me from taking the test. I've learned these things about me that allow me to, if I manage them properly, then I can have a better chance of staying focused. But then that backs all the way up to is the question of what do I need to be focused on? I know that if I'm scheduled to take a test, that's obviously my focus. But for me, I sometimes have a challenge like prioritizing what my focus should be for a period of time, whether like what's my priority today and how do I remain focused on that? Do you have experience with that too, or?
Yeah. I mean, ADD runs in my family too. And, I think for me, even it's a lot of that. What do I want to do versus what do I need to do kind of struggle. You have to take the test. And so, you kind of force yourself through it, but, I'd much rather be fill in the blank, whatever that thing is. And especially when you have a list of 100 tasks, it's really easy for me to say, oh, well, you know what, I really would like to spend some time video editing today, or taking pictures today, or designing postcards today. When the most important thing for me to do is to follow up with this person on this thing that's outstanding, or maybe to kick off this project, or maybe wrap up a project that's been hanging out there for a long time. But I think you're right. I think it's the tools that we use to offset some of those difficulties. I want to say, hold on, I'm going to look at my notes real quick. October 29th was the first video I believe that we did. And A, it's hard to believe that it's been that much time already doing Word of the Week. But B, that was our first word was intentionality. And when we intentionally build our schedule, that's when we're looking at the big picture. Based on the big picture, what is the most important areas that I need to focus on today? And so that's how we can build our schedule out so that we're intentional about doing the most important things. And it also helps us stay disciplined because it's right in front of us. We have a plan that we can have. It's fun. Look at all the words that we've already gone through in Word of the Week. Intentionality, planning, accountability, like all these words that all apply and they all cross over. But the focus element of it is that as soon as we lose focus, we're not effective. We're distracted. And sometimes distraction has a place, but when we're trying to be intentionally focused on what we're doing and we're trying to be disciplined to get it done and we're trying to do the most important things, that's not the time for distraction. That's the time for, intentionality. That's the time for discipline. That's the time to take action on what we're doing. Right. A lot of fun words. I'm sorry.
I think that's cool is like, we operate our businesses on the model of the entrepreneur operating system. And one of the very first things right after values is, what is your core focus? And that's so important. And I'll always remember every time that we get in a room with Gene Roberts and he'll challenge us. And I love that, because if we start to get offside, he doesn't question us, but he asks us the question. Is that part of your core focus? And then I'm like, man, that's so important, because he uses that core focus to drive our entire meetings, all of our sessions. And when we leave, that's so ingrained in us. Like when we see a shiny new object, especially in our industry where shiny new objects pop up every day, we have kind of that core focus, that center to come back to and check what we want to do against what we've decided we're going to do. And that has been so valuable, and I've tried to apply that in other aspects of my life. Have you seen the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I love the way that Gene does it, because it's not an offensive, like in your face, what do we call it? The Great American Beatdown. It's about
Sometimes the Great American Beatdown is needed, though.
That's true. But it's about, you told me that this was the most important thing. You told me this was the end goal that you wanted to get to. And you know me very well, and you know that I am very tactically driven. And we make a good partnership, because you're very strategically driven. I'm very tactically driven. And although we have some skills in the other areas as well, we balance each other out. And so, I might get hung up on some little detail. I can't get past this one little thing. And you're like, but look at the bigger picture. This one thing doesn't matter, And so it's really helpful to have somebody like you, have somebody like Gene, that's reminding us, what is the big picture goal that we're trying to get to? And are we on the path to get to that big goal, or are we being pulled off a rabbit hole of something we want to do or something that's shiny, For sure.
Hey, I was on, I'm addicted to the Clubhouse app right now. Mm-hmm. It's my new thing right now. And I've really had to balance, talking about focus, I've really had to say, okay, when am I going to do this and when am I going to do something else? Because it's easy to get sucked into those conversations on Clubhouse and want to learn from them. It's like live podcasting, and there's so much great information and knowledge. But last night I was on there, and this lady was talking about, it was like in a marketing and branding room, right? So there were marketers and branders on the stage, and they invited me up to speak with them and kind of moderate the room, right? Well, this lady comes in and she was asking about her fitness business. So she has like a gym or a fitness center in a strip mall. She's like, yeah, I want to buy the strip mall. And I want to turn the whole strip mall into this and that and the other. So, but everything that she wanted to do was fitness related. So she wanted a supplement store, and she wanted like an exercise equipment store. I'm making things up, but it was all in line, like kind of feeding that one business. So like now this is the fitness outlet. Mm-hmm. And then she said, and a childcare. So, and her idea is that if people are going to come spend their day doing their gym stuff, right? They want to spend an hour in Pilates and they want to hit the gym or hit the weights and then pick up their supplements, that they didn't have to worry about childcare. Like it would help solve that problem. And so this was what was so important about it. I thought about selling energy drinks on a cruise ship, which is an analogy that Gene has used with us. He's like, if you are in this business and an opportunity presents itself to do a different kind of business, if they're not related, it may not make sense. It'll take you away from your core focus. So I was able to kind of recall that and share that with her. The fact that she wanted everything to work together, and she just saw that building as the kind of like the vessel to get that done. And she said something very important. She says, I don't know anything about the childcare business. So I'm finding a partner who does, and that will be their thing. And I was like, yes, like she gets it, man. She gets it. So she knew distinctly what her core focus was, and that was everything fitness. And she knew, like, she had depth of knowledge in each of those, in supplements, in food, health foods or whatever, and in the exercise space. So it was really kind of cool to be able to take that experience that we've gained from EOS, from Gene, and experienced and applied in our businesses, and to share that with someone else, which may be why I'm addicted to the app, because that's what we want to do, right? That's our mission right now, is to kind of share knowledge, experience, and gain additional knowledge and experience from others.
Yep, for sure. So all right, so let's go the opposite direction here. What happens when you lose focus on something that's really important because something else is really important at the same time? I've used the example in the past, like I've been stuck at work on a big project and I missed dinner, and I come home to a disappointed wife and disappointed kids and a cold meal, and I have to bear the weight of that consequence. How do you look at situations like, you have two equally important things, and one is right in front of you and one is not right in front of you? How do you keep focus on the other things that are important so you can still balance?
See, now it's almost not fair to use that example, because I don't want to pretend like I have personal relationships figured out. I don't think anybody does. So, it would be easy. Let me give you the public answer that I really do believe in. And I do believe it's communication, right? In that example, it would be communicating. Look, hey, I got this deadline and I really got to get this proposal out in order to meet the deadline, because after tomorrow morning, they close the deadline. So you go ahead and have dinner without me. I don't mind eating a cold meal. So that's the textbook answer, but then emotions and feelings are involved with relationships. So the textbook answer doesn't always work. Like, logic won't change the emotion. The logic that tomorrow morning is the deadline and today is the only opportunity I have to finish this thing, it doesn't trump the feeling of, but I made a meal for you. Like, that's a valid feeling that your spouse would have in that situation. And so it's kind of a hard one when it comes to like that kind of example. Now, if I had to choose between, let's say which proposal I'm going to write, like I got two proposals with similar deadlines, I only have time to write one. Or I got a proposal deadline or some other work task that are equal in importance, I would have to go to the one that really, for me anyway, I look at what is the loss by, like, what is the opportunity cost, if you will, from neglecting one to favor another, and whichever has the lower opportunity cost would usually be the one that I get rid of or choose not to focus on.
Yeah,
I'm working on my book right now, so now I have to make this decision every day of my life.
Yeah. Well, I love the transparency, because it is true. Like, this is the textbook answer, communication. But we've both disappointed our wives more times than we care to admit, and more times than we ever dreamed that we would, in the promises we made to our spouses, and and it's going to happen again because we're imperfect people. And it's their love and grace that forgives us. And, Gary Chapman talks about your love deposits, and the more love deposits that you make, the more that you can withdraw without overdrawing your account. And I think to your point that the further in advance that we're able to communicate, the better that we can set the expectation with everybody, spouses, coworkers, clients, whoever the case may be. And if we can set a clear expectation and deliver on that expectation, then people are generally happy with the results. If I could, like, I just communicated to my wife, I said, hey, I just booked a photo shoot for the middle of February. I'm letting you know now, it's several weeks away, but just know that I have to leave. I have to go out to this place. I probably won't be back until late, so that way that it's going to happen. But yet, just yesterday I said, listen, I had to schedule a meeting for 5 o'clock tomorrow. I know that that's normally when we eat. It's between 5 and 5:30. I'm sorry. That was literally the only time that I could schedule this meeting. And I tried to do it today at 4:30. I tried to do it today at 4:45, and it wasn't possible to get it done. And so that's when it was. And, so I gave 24-hour notice, and I prefer to give more, but there have been times that I've been sucked into a task, and I've like literally just 100% in the task. I don't remember what day it is. I don't remember where I am. I don't remember who I am, like especially back when we used to build more websites, I would get sucked into the code, and I'm like just coding. And then I look up and it's like 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. Yeah, because I was hyper focused.
Especially when it's something that you enjoy doing, right? I mean, that's me with Clubhouse right now. I'm getting sucked into it. I'm literally looking around like, hey, what do you got planned this evening? I'm gonna go watch my TV show. Okay, cool. In my mind, I'm like, I have between now and the time that program's over, and so I don't want to watch television, right? Like I've watched too much Netflix in the past couple of weeks anyway. Just laying around the house trying to get better. But I mean, generally speaking, I'm not a big TV show guy. I don't watch episodes and follow seasons and things like that. So for me, I would rather be engaging on something like Clubhouse, like some social type, which is really cool. So check this out. So instead of having to leave the family, this is like probably one of the benefits, I guess, to COVID is instead of us having to leave our family and get on a plane and go do a thing, and then, all of the expenses and time and whatever, like Matthew McConaughey was saying this on an interview I was watching. He's like, I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. At 6 o'clock, I'm in Denmark. And then by, 7 o'clock, I'm in England. And by, 9 o'clock, I'm in New York. He's like, and then by dinner time, I'm hanging out with my family face to face with my kids. He's like, that could have never happened because the norm before COVID was you get on the plane and you go to the place and you spend the time face to face and you do all those things. And then you sacrifice your family for that because that's what the expectation is. So like the new norm with COVID is I can get up in the morning, go do my job without leaving the house. And then like 5 o'clock, I'm face to face having dinner with my family. That's kind of cool. So I don't know. I think that makes it a little harder to focus sometimes because you got the dog barking and you've got you're here so you can do this for me. So that when it comes to focus, that makes it a little more challenging, I think. But, hey, we're all trying to figure out how to navigate this space, right?
Yep, absolutely. I think that there's a benefit and there's a consequence, I guess, to hyper focus. I remember when we first started working remote and we were at home, and like the feedback I got was, this is great. Like I can hyper focus on my tasks because there aren't people walking by my desk asking me questions. There's not conversations going on in the corner that I'm kind of, oh, what's going on with that person? Or any of those kind of normal office environment kind of things. And so then you're hyper focused, but then you're losing the connection. You're losing the interpersonal connection with your coworkers. You're losing the face-to-face ability to talk to somebody. And, we have tools like Microsoft Teams and things like that, where we can chat and video chat with people, but it's not quite the same as, oh, I'm just hanging out in the kitchen. You're hanging out in the kitchen. Oh, hey, what's going on? I feel guilty saying, oh, hey, how was your weekend? How's the family? How's the dog? When I'm on Teams, I'm like, no, work platform. But when I'm in the kitchen, I'm like, what's up? And it's fun and it's casual. And, so we have tools, but there's still a lot of balance that goes on between making sure that I'm available. Like I have to be intentional about turning on chat and turning on my video and being available for people and reaching out to people and say, hey, I have a 15-minute break. I'm going to go see if anybody else is available to just a screen time for a little bit. Hey, what are you up to? How's it going? How's work? What's, whatever, just to get that interaction, remind people that I'm still here, and remind them that I know that they're still there. Right.
Yeah. Like the distraction sometimes from the focus is a benefit sometimes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you one. Well, we got about 6 minutes left, so I'll give you one. I've been working on my book. I've been working with a ghostwriter to help me because my thoughts work quicker than my fingers, right? So getting it out of here and put it on paper, I lose a lot in translation there. So it's great for me to have someone that I can trust is going to hear my voice and ask questions and get that out and organize it for me in a way that where you've read stuff that I've written and sometimes it doesn't make sense. And I know that, but I know that that's not my strength. That's not my strong suit. I can write and I can write well. It's a lot of effort for me to sometimes get there. And so working with a ghostwriter has been such a blessing, but I still have to write. That's the thing. I still have to write. I sat down one day and I wrote 6 pages about a single topic that didn't even scratch the surface of where we need to be with it. And it takes time. It takes focus to not miss anything, especially for somebody like me. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to take off for 2 weeks and just drive to a mountaintop and just get it all out. They're just the notes that are in my brain about my journey, about my life, about my thoughts, about how I see things and whatever. But you know what? Like missing every meal, it don't work, man. It doesn't work. That doesn't work for me right now in this stage of my life. I know now's the time I'm supposed to write my book. But now is not a time where I'm supposed to leave my family for 2 weeks and just, because there's another half of that, my family, right? So I'm trying to find new ways that I can find that intense focus, block off that right amount of time, because an hour here and there doesn't get it done for me. I can't complete a single thought in an hour. You know this about me.
I mean, it's hard to complete a single thought in an hour, no matter who you are.
Thank you. Right. So I'm getting creative with it. I'm not going to drop the bomb today on what my plan is because I'm super, super excited about it. And when I announce it, it's going to be really cool because I'm going to take you all on this journey with me. If you're watching now, or you will be watching whenever I drop this bomb, because it's going to be awesome. It's going to be, I'm going to leave it right there, but it's going to be an opportunity for me to get intensely focused and get the ideas out of here onto paper. So my writer will have something of substance when we get together and do our interviews that will add to the thoughts and kind of fill in the pieces. So my focus for the next, and this book is going to be published this year. So my focus for the next few months is to get all of that out of here onto paper and share it with everybody. What's your focus for the next couple of months, Roy?
Oh man, there are 500 different items that are all small, but they're all important. And so I've been working really hard to try to separate my day into key areas, because for those who don't know, we have JMC Brands as one of our companies. We have AdGrid USA as a company. We have Pure Lotta as a company, which is taken off now, which is great. PureLotta.com. And we have Respect My Intensity that's getting kicked off. All of these things have different operational challenges that need to be overcome. They all have documents that need to be written and processes that need to be documented and structured so that they're scalable, sustainable. And there's also all of the graphic and the fun stuff that needs to go along with it too. Like I've just spent the last 2 days just trying to clear up. You mentioned the other day about I need to get to this thing that I didn't do last Thursday. My last 2 days have literally been trying to catch up all of those small projects that they haven't been a number one priority, but I carved out some time to get them done because they still needed to get done. So, it's a balancing act of getting all of those things done, but I'm being intentional and using my calendar to make sure I'm blocking off all of those times. Like today is my call day. So, I have calls, all day long with 10-minute breaks in between, so right. That's a call day. And that's my way of being intentional and being focused without losing focus on the bigger picture.
That's awesome. Cool. So your focus is to get focused.
Pretty much.
I love it. I think we're out of time, man. So what a great word. What a great, divinely inspired, perhaps even today. I don't know.
For sure.
But hey, man, I'm so glad to be back on Word of the Week. I'm excited about what's coming next week. We've got a long list of suggestions. If anyone watching has a suggestion for a word that you'd like us to discuss, or you would like to discuss with us, shoot us a message. Let us know.
Yeah, we can have 5-6 people in this chat. So, if somebody wants to join us, send us a message. Follow us on social media and follow the stuff we're doing. But let us know. Let us know what your words are and join us.
Awesome. Well, Roy, thanks so much. I'll catch you on one of those calls you were just talking about. I'll catch you on one.
Yes, you will. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
Have a great day.